Hello, owls. Here's your weekly owl hoot message for ELA. I am super proud of the effort that was put into your digital academics last week. I know many of us are trying some new things with technology that push us a little out of our comfort zone. I appreciate your ability to communicate your challenges with me through email and allow me to help problem solve with you through messages and even Google Meet calls when necessary. Your owl teachers are all happy to help. Last week, we completed our first week of ELA curriculum. Not only did you learn the first week of middle school ELA curriculum with stems, literary terms, expectations of paragraph of the week writing, and taken a quiz on this new content through Google Forms, you also were able to find your new content on our Google Classroom Classwork tab. I will run our ELA curriculum almost identically for several weeks. Work will open for Monday morning and is due Sunday morning before 10 a.m. All online learning is released at the same time for you to work through the concepts throughout the week. And the quiz will be open Friday morning in the same place you've been working in classwork all week long. Your Friday quiz this week will have all 8 stems on it, a combination from last week and this week. It will also have only your new literary terms. All of this material, just like last week, is in Lesson Plan 2. There will be a total of 10 questions on Friday's quiz. Make sure you are not using your notes for these weekly quizzes. This information needs to make its way to your long-term memory through studying throughout the week. Otherwise, these weekly quizzes will feel impossible later. Also, I have gone through all submitted work from week 1 and graded it. If you were missing something on an assignment, I returned it back to you and explained what else you needed to do to get the grade. Make sure you are reviewing all returned work, especially for this reason. Looking ahead, you will find all of your ELA material in the same place and go through the same processes as last week. The goal being that we become so comfortable with these processes that it becomes, dare I say, easy in the weeks to come. I know many of us are not there yet, but I am here to support you in any way that I can. Let's take a look at our Google Classroom and explore these resources together. We're going to take a closer look at ELA All Online, but everybody's Google Classroom is set up similar. So you click onto the ELA class and it brings you to your landing page. You have at the top Stream, Classwork, and People. Grades is more specifically, I believe, for the teacher view. So this is where I need all students to be working, is in this Classwork tab. So when they click it, you will see that the material is broken into weeks. This was our back to school week. This was our week 1 of curriculum. And now here we're entering week 2 of curriculum. I have the order of activities in the way that make the most sense to me. You need all the information from lesson plan week 2 in order to complete the 3 below it. Why this tab is so important is because all 3 of these, because they're assignments and they're graded, show up in students' Google Calendar, and they will also show up in students' to-do list. But without the materials link, students cannot find this information as easily as they would be able to otherwise. So let's look at it. We're going to start with the top tab, Lesson Plan Week 2. Follow this lesson plan all the way through to take notes and learn important material to support your learning this week. If you need to take a break, just remember which slide you last completed, and you'll be able to jump right back into learning. So this is not necessarily meant to be done all in one sitting. This is all the material for the entire week of ELA online learning. If I click it, it opens up into a Google slide for me. And it has the exact same format as last week. I have encouraged all students to make sure they read every piece of material. It's there for them, not for me. What to expect each week. The content does run Monday through Sunday, but the way it's designed is students ideally would finish it by Friday afternoon, culminating with the quiz. The Saturday, Sunday is more of a grace period. I understand things come up, and I don't want that pressure of the due date to really be the driving force. So I would really like students to get into the habit as Saturday and Sunday is more of a cushion if something were to come up during the week. Again, ideally finish by Friday. The work is self-paced. Students can absolutely work ahead. The only part of that that is different is the Friday quiz. Work is going to be in the ISN, which is the student's notebook. I was seeing if I had mine handy. I do. In the student's notebook, which is where they're taking pictures from, interactive student notebook, and then some work will also be digital. Students will be practicing what they've learned. They'll be applying it. Support from me, this list goes on and on. This was off the top of my head, and I'll let you read that. And then the quiz at the end of the week is on the words and content. I do encourage everybody to read through this. It tells you what you're learning in STEMs, lit terms, reading, writing, and digital literacy this week. It tells you what the students are going to need. And it also starts with a let's start thinking about question. This slide here is agendas and learning targets. I have the entire agenda for the week laid out, and I've also have the learning targets that are important for you to understand why are we doing this. So by the end of the week, students will be able to, that's the acronym for SWBAT, students will be able to. And again, you can come back and reference this. So when they get here, weekly word 2 notes, let's get learning. I tell you what you need in order to complete this. It has an image here on what the student's notebook should look like to set up prior to moving forward. All of the information that's going to be on this page when it's completed is essentially what is on the weekly quiz. Students continue, let's begin. And then from slides 9 through 16 are all teaching students STEMs, definitions, and word examples. By the end of slide 16, their notebook should be completed and look similar to mine. Takes them to literary terms, and we're introducing big grammar idea this week, so they're copying these notes down into their ISN. This is an image of what your notebook should look like when it's completed. Remind you that there is the Friday quiz, which will be on this material. So parents, this is a great tool for you to be quizzing your students and make sure that they are ready. The example words are not on the quiz. They're just there to support the students' understanding of why we are listening or why we're learning these words, how they may see them. So here I tell you that your notes are completed, and now we're going to get into more of the content for the week. So this is very similar to last week. It was about similarities and differences of starting school. This week, we're focusing on nouns. It goes through the directions 1 through 4 and explains how students access it, click on it, and submit it. Please do not submit this note taker until you have completed all 3 parts. So at this point, a student, you can see in my tabs, a student could absolutely come back to their Google Classroom, leaving the lesson plan open, and right here, complete week 2 note taker. They can pop this open. There are instructions. Pop this open, and the student can work through this. So here they're brainstorming, following directions. The next part, they're analyzing the poem. And I know some parents are like, hey, what poem? But for that one slide I just showed you, this is their brain engaged activity. So the next part's going to lead us through the poetry analysis. They'll answer the questions. And then like last week, they will write a poem of their own about nouns. So I'm returning back at the top. I'm returning to my lesson plan. And if I continue with my PowerPoint, I've engaged my brain here. So now I've created a video for students to make the flashcards for their STEMs. At this point, students should have 8 flashcards from last week and this week. Again, parents, this is another great tool, especially as we get to like 50 STEMs, for you to support your child's ELA learning. And just like when they were learning math facts, going through these and helping them memorize them. So it's a short video to how to create the flashcards. ELA Anchor Chart, last week we completed the hamburger one, and this image was sent to me. This week, students are also completing the notes, which I had just shown you, and they're creating an anchor chart on new ZLA expectations. In that video on your screen, it walks them through the process and it explains the reasoning behind each component. This is what the image is going to look like and what needs to be uploaded to Google Classroom when completed. So if I come back over here to the top of my screen, my Google Classroom is still open, and upload new ZLA Anchor Chart, that's where they're submitting that image and assignment. The students did fantastic with that last week. If you are having technology issues and getting things to upload, continue to email me. We'll work through it. My face-to-face students, they can really still bring it into class in order to get the points in the gradebook. Virtual students, we can definitely figure out something to have a backup plan for you. But I do eventually want to see that material getting put up to Google Classroom so I know that students have the ability. Coming here is the poem. Last week, some students were struggling to find the poem that goes back to the Notetaker. If students use the view feature and then present, I hope it works while I'm screencasting. Yeah, it does. It makes the poem larger so that they can. And this here is part 3, where students are going to go back into that note taker and finish the last part, where they're actually creating a poem of their own based on nouns. So when all 3 parts are complete, the brainstorming, the poetry analysis for part 2, and then the part 3 creation, they're going to submit that Google Doc to Google Classroom for a grade. Okay, so there you have it. That is the entire week of ELA in one presentation. I have removed Pear Deck from the learning of the STEMs portion, just trying to mainstream where students are with the one single Google presentation. And I hope that makes things a little more simple. My only suggestion would be if students do it in several sessions, which is how it's designed to be anyway, that they just remember what slide that they're on so they can easily retrace their steps. So that's all for now. Feel free to rewatch this video throughout the week for clarification. I look forward to seeing all of you this week, either virtually or in the school building. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Talk to you soon. Bye.